Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nothing But Net. Today, 2 weeks into the NBA season, today's November 11th, we've gotten to see how teams are performing, kind of have a pretty good sample size for now. It's only like 2 weeks in, but we've seen enough. But we're just going to be going through the Eastern Conference, talking about how everybody's gone from 15 to 1. We normally do a prediction episode every year, but unable to do that this year. But we're gonna get East talking about now, and then we're gonna talk about the West when Kai and Cole can join me. But let's just get into it. So if we look at the standings for the East, if we start out with the 15 seed in the Eastern Conference, you have the Washington Wizards. Now I'm pretty sure, if you can ask anyone in the comment section, any one of our viewers, anybody who's just an NBA fan in general, they would say this is completely expected. The Washington Wizards are not supposed to be good at basketball this year. They're a rebuilding team. They just got a top 5 pick in the draft, Trey Johnson. They had the second pick last year. They had a top 10 pick the year before, Bilal Coulibaly. Like, they are in their prime peak of their rebuild. They're like the 2022 Oklahoma City Thunder right now. They're you know what I mean? They're like the 2023 Houston Rockets, right? I think that definitely we've seen a lot of upside from guys like Alex Sarr. You know, he's in my fantasy league. Shout out Sammy, he's in my fantasy league. And he has Alex Sarr. And I was just trying to trade Anthony Davis for Alex Sarr because, and we'll get into the Mavs in a later episode, Anthony Davis has not been able to stay healthy. The Mavs in general have not been able to stay healthy. But Alex Sarr has shown he has tremendous defensive upside. He's using his size well, because last year he was forcing up a lot of shots because he was like, oh, I'm trying to be Wemby, stuff like that. It's not how it is. He's definitely using his size well. He's protecting the rim well. And he's definitely, a lot of people were making fun of him after that Summer League performance. We can pull up the memes right now after his very first Summer League game where he scores 0 points. But Alex Sarr has definitely turned into the de facto number 1 option on this team, as well as Keyshawn George. Shout out Keyshawn George, because I was high on him personally. He was a first-round pick in 2024 out of that draft class of him, Bub Carrington, and Alex Sarr. And correct me if I'm wrong, he literally dropped, pull up the stats right now. Keyshawn George dropped 34 points, 7 rebounds with a 73% field goal percentage versus the Dallas Mavericks. And at that time, a lot of people thought the Mavericks were contenders, going back to the Mavs again. Now, of course, we know that they're not, but still, it shows definitely how much upside Keyshawn George has, and I'm excited to see what he can do. And lastly, who I'm going to be talking about on this team is Bub Carrington. He was supposed to be their franchise point guard, has not looked good whatsoever on this season, but I still have hope for him. As I said in the beginning of this episode, 2 weeks into the season, the Wizards, I would say, if I were to rate them on a scale of compared to their expectations, I would say they're doing an 8. Nobody expected them to be good. They're 1-10. Not the best, but AJ DeBansta, I'm with an AP with 200K. That's them. Oh, shout out Trey Johnson, by the way. He's been really good as a rookie. Next up, the Pacers is the 14th seed. And I'm going to start to speed it up a little bit. Only 1 minute talking about everyone. But when I think about the Pacers, it's like, do they trade Pascal Siakam at this point? He's making a lot of money. And I know how important Halliburton is to this team. Everybody knows how important Halliburton is to this team. They wouldn't have even made the second round of the playoffs if they didn't have Halliburton. But 1-9 start, a lot of people thought Nembhard was going to take that leap. He got hurt, but even when he was healthy, it wasn't looking that way either way. Miles Turner left. Like, should you just do what the Celtics are doing and trade everyone and just build around 2026, 2027 for when Halliburton can come back from that injury? Because Halliburton's not coming back this year. But I definitely had higher hopes for this to be more of a developmental year for the Pacers, but it just hasn't looked good. They were like the last team to win a game this year. Ben Mathurin has looked really good. He's been averaging 30 in only 2 games, but he's still been averaging 30, which is really good. Siakam is Siakam. He's going to do his thing no matter what happens. Nesmith has been good. I love the Jarris Walker leap because I was really big out of him coming out of the 2023 draft. I really like Josh Walker. Always loved his fit as a screener next to Halliburton, but I don't know. I trust the Pacers organization. It's huge that they got their pick back because now they have the opportunity to get a Cam Boozer, get a Darren Peterson, get a AJ DeBansta. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait it out with this Pacers team. Shout out Halliburton's courtside fits though. Those are fire. Yeah. Going on to the Nets. This team had 5 first-round picks last year. 5 first-round picks. 5. And they drafted Yegor Demon. They drafted Ben Serif. They drafted Danny Wolf. They drafted Drake Powell. And they drafted Nolan Traore. That's 3 point guards. And it's just like none of them have shown that they can be the guy. But there's later guys in this draft who we'll get to when we get to the Western Conference, like a Derek Queen, they could have traded up for a Jeremiah Fears, because definitely New Orleans would have been willing to trade down to get some draft capital. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't see there's like no number one guy on this Nets team. And one could say, oh, Cam Thomas. He's never gonna be a number one guy. He can't play defense. He's gonna be like a 22 2-2 guy for the rest of his career on your team. That's just what he's gonna be. And that can be a really valuable guy on a championship team as a number 3 or number 4 option. That could be like what Jalen Green could be in his career. And that's literally what he is on the Suns. And the Suns have been looking good. Jalen Green hasn't played a lot, but the Suns are still looking good. And then you have Michael Porter Jr. as your number 1 guy on this team. Mind you, he's leading the team in assists, by the way. Keep that in mind. Michael Never Swing the Rock Porter Jr. is leading this team in assists. That's just something. But you look at Yegor Demon, he's averaging 6, 3, and 3. But he's only averaging like 20 minutes per game. If you drafted this guy at the 8th overall pick to be your franchise point guard, who other point guards do you have on this roster? And you're playing him 20 minutes a night. They're not giving these young guys enough time, enough burn. And Jordy Fernandez literally was a Kings assistant coach. So I mean, I really trust him. I really like what he's doing down there in Brooklyn. Whoa. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know the direction of this team. But I would definitely, they're one of my top landing spots for an AJ DeBanster, Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson. I really hope that. I wanted the Cooper Flag to go there too. So the Nets are just gets and shiggles. The Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets. I actually really like how this Hornets team is looking. LaMelo has not played a lot. Miles Bridges is looking back to his old stuff. He's averaging 22 and 7. He's looking really good. Shout out Con Knipple. He's been one of the best rookies this year. I think based on the eye test, I don't think he's ever going to be like a top guy on his team, which you would hope that if you draft the number 4 pick, they're going to be like a dominant on-ball creator. That's just not who Con Knipple is. That's not who he was at Duke. That's not who he was in the NBA. He's not going to be that. But he's one of the best. He reminds me of Klay Thompson. Like how he's been moving off the ball, how he's been able to create space off the ball and just knock down shots. That's one of the best skills that an NBA player can have. And you have him. Shout out Ryan Kalkbrenner for majority of the season. He hadn't missed a shot. Now he's only shooting 80% from the field, but he's averaging a solid 10 and 7, which is really good numbers from a team that just traded away their franchise center, Mark Williams. Maybe he's not the franchise center. They traded him away. But still, he's looking really good. Ryan Kalkbrenner, shout out you. Again, LaMelo Ball's been hurt. That's just a package deal. But I feel like LaMelo Ball also has a lot of freedom on this team to do whatever you want. And I made that comparison with Con Knipple. With Con Knipple being Klay Thompson. If LaMelo can bring that up to being Steph Curry level, bring back prime 2022 healthy LaMelo, this Hornets team could be scary. They just need a center next year. Also, in the time that LaMelo has been out, I love the backup guard minutes with Colin Sexton and Trey Mann. I've always been high on Trey Mann. I think he literally looks like the next Iverson if you watch him play ball. Obviously not to that level, but you know what I mean. They've definitely looked really good in those backup guard minutes and starting guard minutes, filling in for when LaMelo's out. So they definitely have a really good depth pieces. I was just talking about Ryan Kalkbrenner. I would just love to get them a little more big man depth, big man rotation. But yeah, I kind of like this Hornets team, and I've always been a fan of Charles Lee since he was in Boston. So I trust this coaching staff. Going on to Orlando. This is one of the first bad teams in this list where I'm just like, they should not be here. You know, Washington was rebuilding. Pacers have Halliburton hurt. Nets are the Nets. Hornets, right? But the Magic, they traded 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane this offseason. And there's too much star power on this team for them to look at the way they've looked. I know last night that Desmond Bane hit this crazy game winner versus Portland, yeah. That was the first night that it kind of looked like everything was clicking offensively, but Paolo Banchero has not been able to fill in that number 1 option shoes. In my opinion, Franz Wagner has been the number 1 option for this team so far in this season, which is not good. I mean, Franz is amazing. Don't get me wrong. Franz is really good, but I don't think it's good for Paolo, All-NBA Paolo, to not be the number 1 option on this team. And it's not like he hasn't been getting those opportunities. He just hasn't been playing like it. He hit a couple really big-time shots the other night versus Boston and versus Portland. His fadeaway has always been really good, and it still will be. But sometimes I see him suffering from Jason Tatum syndrome a little bit, where he just doesn't drive to the basket a lot, and he doesn't use his 6'9", 500-pound frame. But yeah, they've kind of been clicking recently. They've won 4 out of their last 6 games, which is pretty good, especially after starting 1-4. But yeah, I definitely have a lot of higher hopes for this Magic team, especially because their defense is always going to be a really good defense, and they brought in Desmond Bane to bring that offensive click. He hasn't brought that. Paolo's been down. Franz has been down. Suggs is always amazing. I love Jalen Suggs. His on-ball defense is like that's so peak to watch. Yeah, this Magic team just needs time to click, but they've been kind of disappointing recently. Going on to the 10 seed, we have the Boston Celtics, and who didn't expect this, bro? Like, we all expected them to get AJ. Like, Jason Tatum's out. They traded Holiday. They traded Porzingis. Okay. Shout out Jaylen Brown's hairline. Like, what? Like, he's just rubbing his hair on people? That's just what he does now, and he's also averaging, like, 27, so you do you, Jaylen Brown. You need to go to Turkey. I know he saw that stream with LeBron where he was like, yo, Bron, help me on my hair transplant.
Yeah. Bron, it's little bro. Call me back. We got some real shit to talk about. It's a cold red, my nigga. It's a cold red. They done caught me slipping. I need to know, turkey or no turkey. And I ain't talking about no cheese sandwich.
That was funny. But Jaylen Brown has definitely been, I know I gave him a lot of flack because I thought Tatum should have won that Finals MVP way back when. But Jaylen Brown has definitely been showing why he's the number 1 option on this team. Tatum's out. But I feel like this team could actually be doing a lot better than they actually are. It's the other guys. It's the Peyton Pritchard and Derek White specifically have been selling Jaylen Brown, in my opinion. They've been selling him because they just haven't been stepping up to the plate, especially because they're now the 3 of their top 4 options from last year are gone. This is when Holiday and White need to step up, and they haven't. Each been averaging 15 and 3 at least. 15 and 3 averages. Sorry. But I can't even get too mad at them because you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to lose games. I know the Boston Celtics are not one to tank, but they're fully gearing up for Tatum to come back in 2026-7. He could come back this year. From what I've seen, he could come back this year. Yeah, this team could be doing a lot better, but I don't think anyone's really mad at that because nobody wants this team to do better. Shout out Anthony Simons. I always thought that he needed to be free in Portland after they drafted Scoot and everything and drafted Shaden. He didn't start the season off really well, but he's really been like consistently doing good recently. Shout out to Miles Queta, former Sacramento King, starting center minutes. He's looked amazing. I always knew he could do this. I always do. I think that Kobe he might go for 70. No, but yeah, shout out to Miles Queta. He's been looking really good. But yeah, this Boston Celtics team, my final point, they could be doing a lot better, but no one needs them to do better, so it's chill. The Raptors. These guys are like the defensive team that can't defend. Like, Scotty Barnes is a great defender. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly isn't. But, like, their identity seems like such a defensive identity, and then you watch them, and they'll give up big games to big-time teams. Like, if we look at their recent box scores, they gave up 140 to the Mavericks. They gave up 122 to the Kings, 130 to the 76ers. Like, this... What do I got to say about this team? I don't think Emmanuel Quigley is a franchise point guard. I think that it's not good for them to be perennially stuck in the play-in like this. No, that's not good. I think that they have a lot of talent. I think that they should have drafted Kaman Malak with the 9th pick because they need a big, because Jacopoto is not cutting it. And Colin Murray Burroughs has been a good defender, which that's his whole thing, is that he's a good defender. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about this team. I love their coach. I think he brings a really good culture to this team, but I don't really know what to say. I think that, yeah, I've always been like a big on the Raptors, but like Grady Dick had a really standout year last year. He hasn't been pulling out to that recently. But I think still Scotty Barnes is the best player in that 2022 class. Fight me. Yeah, nah. I think he's been better than Cade throughout his entire career. Maybe not right now. Throughout his entire career, he's consistently been better than Cade. Actually, nah. He has not. Cade is so much better. What am I saying? What am I saying right now? But yeah, no, they're big three. You can't win if your big three is Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, and RJ Barrett. What are we talking about? You don't have a center. They don't have a center. And that's been what I've been saying about the Raptors for so long. Go back to that 2025 draft video. They should have drafted Kamal Malak. They need a center, but I don't really know what to say about this Raptors team. It's just, that's just another team where we just need to wait it out with them. Just like the Magic. Just need to wait it out with them. The 76ers, they started off 4-0. It hasn't looked good recently, but I absolutely love how the 76ers are looking this year. Edge maxing, the best young duo in the NBA this year. I love edge maxing. Quote me on that. I love edge maxing. VJ Edgecombe dropped 34 in his first ever game. He passes the eye test so well. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're in crunch time, let's say you're down by 2, they're bringing the ball up the court. Who do you give the ball to? I've seen the Sixers on countless times give the ball to VJ Edgecombe as a rookie. Not even 20 games into his NBA career, as a rookie. And he just, like, the aura that he brings, like, I'm like, oh yeah, I trust this guy with the ball. I trust this guy with the ball 100%. And you don't get that as a rookie. That's so rare to have as a rookie. They're so lucky to have that. And think about this. This team is adding Jared McCain. This team right now is adding Jared McCain. Absolute cinema. What do you even got to say? Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, they look both amazing. Tyrese Maxey, his potential to be, he's averaging 35. He has potential to be an All-NBA first-team player this year. Compared to the other guards this year, actually, maybe not. All-NBA second, All-NBA. Plain simple, Tyrese Maxey could be All-NBA this year. Quentin Grimes, Nico traded him because, of course, he did. But I love how the Quentin Grimes is looking on him. He's averaging a solid 17. He has been looking good recently, but he's still a great shooter and just a great piece. You can't have enough pieces, so he's just a great piece on that Sixers team. Kelly Oubre's looked amazing. Joel Embiid, he's Joel Embiid. I'm not going to hate him, and I've always been a Joel Embiid fan. But they're definitely moving towards a youth movement in Philadelphia, and I just love it. And they're adding Jared McCain. It's just crazy to me. But shout out for this Sixers team, just shout out Tyrese Maxey. Like, that dude's amazing. Plain and simple, he's amazing. 6th seed, Chicago Bulls. They were the 1 seed. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games, which is fine. Nobody expected them to be a 1 seed anyway. But the Chicago Bulls team is some of the best culture I've seen out of a Bulls team since, like, the 2022 Bulls with Lonzo and Zach LaVine and DeRozan and stuff like that. Josh Giddey looks amazing. I always say this. I always say this for every team, is that I predicted that they would do this. But I genuinely pull up the receipts. I genuinely said that, like, Josh Giddey was going to be so good on the Bulls, because on the Thunder, he was forced to be an on-ball guard when he has so much time, when he needs so much time to develop, and they're a championship contender. How is a 6th overall pick from Australia supposed to do that? Now he's on the Bulls, where he gets to play his own style of basketball. He's literally Mr. Triple-Double man. He's averaging 22, 9, and 9. That's amazing numbers. And it's contributing to winning basketball. I love Josh Giddey. I think he's doing great things down there in Chicago. Chicago's like in the Midwest. And then all their pieces have been just contributing so well. Like Vucevic, I was on the Vucevic trade train since the 2023 offseason. You know what I mean? Like I don't think Vucevic is a center that should be with this core whatsoever. I think they should have drafted a center last draft, like drafted Derek Queen or something instead of Essengay. But he's looked really good with Josh Giddey as his point guard. He's still not going to be a defensive center. Fine, whatever. But then you have pieces around him like Trey Jones. I've heard people saying like everybody in Chicago loves Trey Jones. Wait, I got to pull this out real quick. Everyone in Chicago loves Trey Jones, you know what I mean? Everyone in Chicago loves Trey Jones because I was a fan of him since Duke with that foursome with him, RJ, Cam Reddish, and Zion, right? He got drafted to the Spurs, didn't get a lot of point guard minutes. Now he's really flourishing in Chicago, and he doesn't have, just like I said with Josh Giddey, he doesn't have any pressure on him at all, and he's doing great. He's averaging 14 and 5, which is really good. Herder looked really bad in sack, having a rejuvenation. Majas Buzelis never really looked bad, but he's actually turning into like a franchise player for the Bulls. He hasn't been the number 1 option. He's been the number 3 option. But he's averaging a solid 15 and 5, which is really good. Iota Sunmu. Patrick Williams sucks, but Iota Sunmu looking really good. Like this Bulls team, if they can get like a real X Factor guy in next year's draft, and I know I've said this for a lot of teams, if they can finally bottom out and get a AJ DeBansta, get a center. That's actually get it like a Koa Pete. I think Koa Pete would look really good on this team. If they can get him as like an X Factor guy, absolute cinema. This Bulls team could look really good in the coming years. Flipping this back. 5 seed, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this Bucks team, Giannis has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. I'm giving shout outs for every team. Shout out Ryan Rollins. The Warriors cut him. But in these, all of us were wondering who's going to be the ball dominant guy. We were making memes all off season. Giannis and Kuzma. It's going to be the Giannis and Kuzma show. Oh, Kuzma's going to be like, don't worry, Giannis, I got this. No, Ryan Rollins is going to be like, don't worry, Giannis, I got this. I talked about VJ Edgecombe and how I trust the ball in VJ Edgecombe's hands. It's not like I trust the ball in Ryan Rollins' hands in the crunch time. Obviously, it should be in Giannis' hands. But Ryan Rollins really looks comfortable when he's playing on-ball point guard minutes, which is something that's like really rare for a person who was a second-round pick, who was cut, and then in a new environment and forced to be on such a good role. He dropped 32 versus the Warriors, his old team. He dropped 25 versus the Knicks, both in wins, looking really good. As that on-ball guard piece, which he's looking really good as. And then you get to Giannis. Who needs to talk about Giannis? He's one of the best players in the NBA. He's averaging 35. People were saying, "Oh, last year's playoffs, that's gonna be Giannis's 2018 LeBron run. Giannis's 2018 LeBron run. That's gonna be it." This is Giannis's 2018 LeBron season. They traded a first-round pick and Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. First-round pick, I mean AJ Johnson. No, he's not looking good whatsoever. Don't worry, Giannis is literally taking up the workload that Kyle Kuzma was supposed to take. Giannis is doing double the workload. Miles Turner has looked good, more as a defensive piece rather than an offensive piece. I was kind of confused on how a paint with Miles Turner and Giannis would work together. Sometimes it gets a little cluttered, but a lot of the times it's Miles Turner. He's stretching the floor, which he was able to do in Indiana too. I think it's really corny for his comeback to Indiana. I think that's really corny where he was like, I think that's really corny. You're a cornball. Put a cornball picture up there. But he's actually been able to space the floor pretty well when it's not cluttered. So I definitely like that addition of Miles Turner. But yeah, Giannis is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. But shout out Ryan Rollins. That's my shout out for this team. We go over to the 4 seed. Cavaliers. Last night, Donovan Mitchell hit one of the best shots I've ever seen. Boom, boom, boom. Fade away. Right there. 0.4 seconds left. It got overshadowed by the Miami Heat game winner, Andrew Wiggins. But, yeah, man, without Darius Garland, what this Cavs team has been able to do. I said about the Sixers, they're about to get Jared McCain back. This Cavs team is about to get Darius Garland back. It's about to get Darius Garland back. I know he played a couple games, but still, they're about to get Darius Garland back. Donovan Mitchell has looked like an MVP player. He's averaging 30. It's Donovan Mitchell. What do you expect? My biggest concern for this team is I know the fit between Jared Allen and Evan Mobley has always been shaky. It's never looked shakier than it is this season. It never has. It's gotten to the point where, like, can you even play them on the floor together at the same time? Like, it's been looking bad, and they've been winning games, so it doesn't matter. But it's just those two shared minutes has not looked the best. But DeAndre Hunter, added him at the trade deadline last year. He's been really good as a 3-and-D piece. He was that in Atlanta, but now with Darius Garland out, and he's been taking more of like an on-ball dominant role and being a second option on that team offensively, just as a creator. Because I know Evan Mobley is that second option, but he can't really like create for himself. I mean, yes, he can, but not to the level that a shifty guard like Donovan Mitchell or DeAndre Hunter can. DeAndre Hunter has taken up that role, and he's looked really good for that. But Donovan Mitchell's the MVP of this team. Shout out him. Shout out Sam Merrill. They lost Ty Jerome last year, which he went to the Grizzlies, which a lot of people thought that would be not good. But Sam Merrill has been able to pick up that slack like immediately. He's looked really good for that. That's my shout out for this team. Shout out Sam Merrill, but shout out the MVP. Shout out Donovan Mitchell. MVP for this team. I don't think he's the MVP of the league. I think that's Luka Doncic. One could argue both. As we go to the 3 seed, the Miami Heat. As I said, they just hit a crazy game winner the other night. Andrew Wiggins' lob. What a play call by Eric Spoelstra, by the way. That's one of the best coaches that this league has ever seen. Still continues to be, was, is, will be, whatever. But I definitely love, my shout out for this team is Jaime Jaquez, because his rookie year, Summer League especially, a lot of people were like, he's looking really good. He slowed down so badly. Like, he took a boom. Like, his Jaime Jaquez stock went like boom. Right? Second year, they trade Jimmy. Now it's kind of less expectations on him to be like a winning player, and he's been able to be his free self. He's averaged a solid 18 and 8. He's looking really good, and he's been playing, like, he's been bringing the ball up the court. He's been playing some backup point guard minutes, or not backup point guard minutes, but like being an on-ball dominant creator. And he created a crazy floater to take the game to overtime last night versus the Cavaliers. That looked really good, and I just love what he's been able to do as that number one, number two. There's no real clear-cut number one option on this Heat team, if we're being honest. But I love what he's been able to do as a top option on this Heat team without Jimmy Butler kind of not taking away from him, but kind of putting more pressure on him to be a supporting cast member for Jimmy. But Jaime Jaquez has definitely taken a step up this year. Shout out to him. Shout out Wiggins, class act as always. Got traded for Jimmy last year. He's basically the same player. Wiggins has always been good ever since he got traded to Golden State. He just hit a crazy game winner last night. Like I said, I think I've said crazy game winner like 4 times in the last 2 minutes. But yeah, they traded for Norman Powell. They didn't really give up a lot for him, but the Clippers traded him to get John Collins, and he has definitely been the de facto number one option for this team. He's averaged 25 points. He's been just a straight bucket getter, and that's who Norman Powell is. He's a bucket getter, and he looks really good. I know he was on the Raptors, so maybe that's why he just looks good in red. Whatever, he was on the Blazers too, but he looks really good in this Heat uniform. He looks really good as a member of the Heat. Just shout out to him. But my biggest, and they're doing all this without Bam Adebayo. And Khalil Ware has looked good too. He's definitely made his presence felt, which I was talking about with Alex Sarr. He's big. He's like 6'11", 7'1". He's definitely made his presence felt as a member of the Heat this year, which is really good for him. And Bam Adebayo's been out, but he's going to come back. And this Heat team could be a scary, make some noise after trading Jimmy, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, I definitely like what I'm seeing out of this Heat team. And Spoelstra's the best coach in the league, so what do you expect? As we go to the Knicks, these are the top end teams. You know what I mean? The Knicks, they're 7-3. Who expected otherwise, right? We always thought the top 2 teams in the league were going to be the Knicks and the Cavs. Now that the Celtics were done and the Bucks and the Halliburton Pacers lost Halliburton, whatever, right? The Pistons are the 1 seed. Nobody really expected that, but They've always been a good team. But I don't really have anything to say about the Knicks, really. Jalen Brunson's the MVP of this team. Mikal Bridges. Oh, Mikal Bridges looks so good with Mike Brown. Shout out Mike Brown. He was the Kings coach. But that's my one thing I have to say about this the Knicks team is how good Mikal Bridges looks with Mike Brown, because he definitely fits that defensive identity and Mike Brown likes to bring so badly. That's why I was saying that the Kings should have traded for Mikal Bridges back in 2022, 2023. I think he would have been perfect, and he is perfect with Mike Brown. Maybe he's just perfect with everyone, because people said that after he was playing a bunch of games with Thibodeau too. But yeah, he's been great as a definitely a 3-and-D piece for this Knicks team. And the biggest difference that I see in this Knicks team compared last year to this year is how much they're using their depth more. They signed Jordan Clarkson. Deuce McBride has been getting some burn. Landry Shamet. Yabusele has not looked the best whatsoever, but he's been getting some burn. Like, the stars aren't tired, and that's what lost them the conference finals. That's what lost them the second round versus the Pacers 2 years ago, was because the stars got so tired, the stars got so hurt. Now, without that, now the other guys are getting some free burns, and is still contributing to wins, which is really good. And they're going to be so well rested. It's going to feel like paradise for this Knicks team when they're actually well rested come playoff time for the first time in like a bajillion years. So that's going to be really good for them. So I'm excited to see what this Knicks team can do in the playoffs more than the regular season, because we always see the Knicks do really good in the playoffs, and then in the regular season they tired out in the playoffs. I'm excited to see what happens to the Knicks in the playoffs. As we go to the 1 seed in the East, where we'll end off our episode today, the Detroit Pistons. They've won 7 in a row. Cade Cunningham is looking amazing. And the one person who I have to shout out on this Knicks team, is the Pistons team, is Jalen Duren. He's been playing like a top 5 to 10 center this league in the NBA this year. He's averaging 20 and 12. He's so dominant. He's big. And if y'all know 2K ball knowledge like that, you know that if you draft Jalen Duren in an expansion rebuild, he'll average like 30 and 5, right? Or 30 and 10. That's who Jalen Duren is. But he's actually shown that in real life, and it's looked amazing. And yeah, and Cade Cunningham's been like the MVP of this team, 28 and 10. Duncan Robinson, he doesn't really look good in a Pistons jersey, but he's been averaging a solid 12 and 6 and 12 and 2. So he's been looking good. And Jaden Ivey's been hurt. He hasn't played yet. But I'm excited to see what happens when he comes back. Asar Thompson's going to have to take a lesser role, but they're the same Pistons from last year, with Jalen Duren taking a stepping up role, and that's why they're the 1 seed. Thank y'all for watching this episode. Yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot more content this year. We're gonna be putting out a lot more videos weekly, and thank y'all for listening, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.